Even though this movie stars LeBron James, who is currently playing for the Los Angeles Lakers, I don't have any Lakers shirts to wear during this review, mainly because, well, I'm a Spurs fan. Go San Antonio Spurs. But I do have a Dodgers shirt right here, so I guess I'll represent Los Angeles sports somehow in this review, even if it's the completely wrong sport. But enough of that nonsense. Let's just dive into the review, because I'm here to talk about movies, not sports, even though this is, I guess, a sports movie. Let's just get into it. Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and this is my review for Space Jam: A New Legacy, which stars, as I said before, LeBron James, but it also stars Bugs Bunny. It's directed by Spike Lee's cousin, Malcolm D. Lee, and is a very loose sequel to 1996's Space Jam. This movie follows a fictionalized version of LeBron James, who is offered a movie deal by Warner Brothers. And there's this algorithm, played by Don Cheadle, who comes up with this big presentation to try to get LeBron to sign a deal with Warner Brothers. That doesn't really work out. The algorithm gets pissed, so he kidnaps LeBron's son, and then kidnaps LeBron himself and sends him into the Toon World, where he comes face to face with Bugs Bunny, and it's up to LeBron James, Bugs Bunny, and the rest of the Looney Tunes gang to try to play basketball to try to win the day and get LeBron James back into the real world. So have I never talked about the Looney Tunes on this channel? I guess not, because the Looney Tunes, I think, are comedy genius. I remember as a kid watching a ton of those old shorts. In fact, I was actually more of a Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes guy than I was a Mickey Mouse or Silly Symphonies guy, because there's just something about Looney Tunes that is so appealing and just more interesting to watch than Mickey Mouse. And so with Looney Tunes, one of their biggest movies out there was Space Jam from 1996, which is a movie that my generation has adopted as this classic. A lot of people from my generation seem to love this movie, or at the very least they say, I have a nostalgic attachment to this movie, so it's an important part of my childhood. And I've seen Space Jam quite a few times as a kid, but I just never really connected with it. There was nothing about Space Jam that really appealed to me, and rewatching it as an adult before the sequel, it just doesn't work for me. I mean, it's not terrible. It's got some fun Looney Tunes-esque moments to it, but it just doesn't feel the same as those original shorts. And to be honest, I think Looney Tunes Back in Action from Joe Dante is a much better Looney Tunes movie. That's something that I might have to review at some point in the future, because I think that movie is highly underrated. And I would really love to go to that alternate universe where we actually got a Looney Tunes Back in Action sequel rather than a Space Jam sequel, because while I might not be the biggest fan of the first movie, I don't hate it. There's nothing about it that makes me say that's a terrible movie. No hate for that first Space Jam at all. This one I hate. This movie is probably the biggest corporate sellout I have seen in a long time. I mean, Warner Brothers is not at all shameless in just, and there's no other way to put it, whoring out their products constantly. Even though I might not be a huge fan of that first Space Jam movie, it at the very least felt like a Looney Tunes movie. You just watch that original movie going, okay, I guess we could just accept this world where the Looney Tunes live underground, similar to how in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, there's a Toontown that just neighbors downtown Los Angeles. So, hey, I could go that far and suspend my disbelief. With this, everything that you see takes place in a digital world that is pretty much locked into the Warner Brothers backlot. And we have these horrible jokes about the Looney Tunes going into other Warner Brothers properties. For example, Daffy Duck goes into the DC universe and tries to be Superman. Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner end up in Mad Max Fury Road. Lola Bunny tries to be an Amazonian and is given a challenge by Wonder Woman to actually pull that off. But the worst offender for me is when they go into Casablanca and Yosemite Sam is playing the character of Sam from Casablanca, and you have Ingrid Bergman's Ilsa saying, "Play it once, Sam, for old time's sake." And I just thought to myself, F you. Like, how dare you rope in Casablanca into this? Like, you should be a damn ashamed of yourselves. And then the actual basketball match itself is when you get the Ready Player One scenario of product placement. Like, you've got the Iron Giant, you've got the characters from Clockwork Orange, you've got Batman, you've got every single Warner Brothers property on there. And there's an incredibly lame joke where Don Cheadle quotes Denzel Washington from Training Day, "King Kong ain't got shit on me," though he doesn't actually say shit because, you know, kids movie. And then there's this wide shot of Kong looking in the audience, down at Don Cheadle's character and doing this. It's not as bad as putting Yosemite Sam into Casablanca, and it's not as bad as Notorious P.I.G., for Christ's sake. That sequence is as bad as you would imagine, but that joke involving King Kong makes a lot more sense why Godzilla decided to slap Kong across his face in Godzilla vs. Kong. Because he saw that Kong was in Space Jam and is like, don't ever do something like that again. Have some more self-respect. Okay, of course I had to bring Godzilla vs. Kong into that conversation because I'm me. So, the amount of Warner Brothers product placement is the biggest thing that everyone's talking about in terms of why people don't like this movie. Because it's just so shameless, with no dignity whatsoever, that it really reminds me of Disaster Movie. Though it should be worth noting that Malcolm D. Lee did direct Scary Movie 5, which also falls into the realm of, hey, let's just bring all of these recognizable properties in for no reason whatsoever. Except with Space Jam: A New Legacy, there's no spoofing it. They are just there to show off the IPs, and this thing cost $150 million. Are you kidding me? How does this cost that much? Okay, I've talked about the IP and horror product placement long enough. What else is wrong with this movie? Well, I mean, that's the main core of it. The main story of LeBron James trying to reconnect with his son after a falling out is not that compelling. It's very cliche, and it follows a lot of tropes that we've seen in the past. And a big problem with it has to do with the fact that LeBron James is not an actor. He's not good in this at all. Like, look, out on the courts, he's awesome. I will give him that. But as an actor, he doesn't work. And there's a line in this movie where he says, look, athletes being actors never end well. And I watched this on HBO Max because I just did not want to see this in theaters. So I rewound after he said that line so I could pretty much confirm that I heard what I thought I heard. And yeah, he says that, and I thought, congratulations, LeBron, you played yourself. Is there anything at all that's good about the movie? Well, the 2D animation is nice. It's actually beautiful 2D animation. There's a funny joke during the big game involving the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. And it's a joke that's so good that I won't even spoil it here because you just have to see it for yourself. It's that effective. But that's all that I really liked about this movie. I saw no reason for this to be made. I mean, the original Space Jam wasn't even good to begin with. So I didn't think a sequel to Space Jam would be any better. And oh look, it's actually worse. And so much worse than I could possibly imagine. I mean, it's kind of funny hearing some people be as shocked as they are by how bad this is. And I'm like, why are you guys shocked? This is like hearing people be shocked about Independence Day Resurgence being bad. What made you think that that was going to be a good movie? There is very little about this movie that's appealing. The shameless amount of Warner Brothers product placement is just cringeworthy. There's so many elements of this movie that feels like it should have gone straight to DVD or straight to streaming. I don't know why this got a theatrical release because I think it lands perfectly on HBO Max. That movie that, hey, it's there, and then it just gets buried with all the other better stuff that's on HBO Max. I mean, this movie is so infuriating that I'm almost on the verge of telling it to burn. You know, what's stopping me? What's stopping me from saying burn in hell? This movie really can burn in hell. It could just fall through the earth, past where the Looney Tunes live, and just be in hell. Because that's where this movie belongs. Because there's nothing at all that is redeeming about this movie. I thought F9 was the worst movie I saw this year. This is worse. And, we'll see if anything tops this. That's all I have to say. Yeah. Nothing else. And there you go, that's my review for Space Jam: A New Legacy. I hope you enjoyed it. Now I want to know what you guys think about the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? If you do like this movie, good for you. More power to you. I'm curious to know why. So just whatever your thoughts are, leave them in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one. Hey everyone, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching my review for Space Jam: A New Legacy. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.